Welcome, everyone, to the Awards Heaven podcast. I'm Tony Ruiz.
I'm Charlie Bright.
And I am Rob Lucuria.
You certainly are. And we are coming to you with lots of stuff this week, including Grammys reactions and how certain people voted at the Spirit Awards. We're going to take a look at the documentary category, and this week's top five includes our top five favorite documentaries. I'm very excited to see if there's any crossover with this one. And a note to all of you listeners, we do not share our top fives with each other before the show. So it is a complete surprise to all of us what each other picks.
When I created the top five, and yes, I am the one who created it, um, I explicitly made it that way, and I'm very happy that it's stuck like this because it's still very surprising.
You did good, kid. You did
I
good.
know I did. You're damn right
Yes.
I did.
Participation trophies for everybody. Now, um, we actually have a letter from a listener. This is from Clay, who emailed us at awardsheaven@gmail.com. You can do it too, and then your note will be read on the show.
Do it.
Clay says, "Hey guys, love the show, love the podcast. I wish Tony would go on more rants and Rob would grow his hair back out, but that's just me."
No to the last one.
That's
No
so
to the last.
controversial. Man, when I grew my hair out, you guys hated it. And I was always like, why? That's so mean. And like,
You
no,
need a
Robert, it's
happy
terrible.
medium. You
Yeah,
need a happy medium because I remember when I drove you and Paula years
yeah.
ago when we first met in Los Angeles, and I was talking about how I had a crush on you since I first saw you on Gold Derby, and I was saying except for that time when you had that awful shaved head, and even Paula in
Oh,
the back
yeah.
seat was like, "Oh yeah, you look like a fucking cancer patient like that,"
Memory of a whatever,
and
of a
I was just like
walrus.
Paula, and I was like Paula, you are always right in my book.
Yeah, you're my people. And then the
Yeah.
long hair, and you guys didn't like it. But you know what? When I cut it, everyone was like, oh, thank God you cut your hair because now you actually look better.
You look sharp with the framing though. That's it works really well
Okay.
for your facial type.
Thank you. I
Mhm.
appreciate that. And also, I have been wanting to say for some time that we don't get enough Tony rants. There's been a couple. I think the last good one that I actually clipped for our social media was about Surat. I watch that sometimes just to cheer myself up.
Well, stay tuned. I've got some things to say about the Grammys. Um, he continues. First, does anyone find it weird at the SAG Awards? I'm not buying into the actor thing. That the cast of Hamnet is nominated, but not Jacoby Jupe, who played Hamnet. I know that it
Mm.
has something to do with where the actor's name appears on the screen credits, but still, that's a little weird to me. I completely agree. I think he's fantastic in that movie, and I think it's a total shame that yes, the SAG slash actor. I just can't wrap my brain around that.
I will never do
Um,
it.
the SAG Awards do have a rule about that. Basically, an actor's name has to be on a single title card. There are some exceptions sometimes, and I don't know why the studio didn't fight for that because he's so integral to the plot, um, and has more screen time than his older brother.
Yeah.
Um, he does. Clay says, "I do want to run an idea by you that I've had for several years now regarding the best original song at the Oscars, especially in light of the decision to only perform two of the five songs on the telecast. I think what the Academy should do is the night before final voting starts, there should be an hour-long special hyping the films that are nominated, but that's also where all five nominated songs are performed instead of on the actual award show. Voters are always claiming that they don't know the songs. This way, they would have a better shot of hearing them before they voted. I truly believe, controversial opinion incoming, I truly believe that had they done this 2 years ago, that funeral dirge by Billie Eilish from Barbie would have lost, rightfully so, to I'm Just Ken, which was certainly more energetically performed by Ryan Gosling. Just like when This Is Me from The Greatest Showman had Viola Davis up and dancing only to lose to some song from Coco that no one remembers that Gael Garcia Bernal could not sing. What do you guys think of this idea? Well, Clay, first of all, how dare you with your Coco slander? I will not stand for it, because I will defend the win of Remember Me over that Greatest
This is
Showman Drek every day of the week.
Okay, I just have to say I am half with you on that, Tony. I am absolutely with you about This Is Me being garbage. But the rifle winner that year should have been Mystery of Love from Call Me by Your Name. That song is gorgeous.
okay.
Song's just beautiful. And here's one thing that my qualm with that perform some songs and some artists just don't do well with live performances. And as much as I love John Stevens and I love Mystery of Love, I don't think that performance translated at the Oscars as well as I think it is as just a beautiful song. So I'm kind of I get where you're coming from on that, Clay, but in a slight disagreement with you there. So it would make it more interesting.
I feel like we need to unpack what Clay has said in succession. Okay, can we just start off with number one? The idea to have some kind of little concert or something or presentation at the beginning of the awards voting block is absolute genius. It's kind of like what the Grammys do, I think, with the nominations when they were announced, they have that little concert or whatever. I want this to happen. How do we make this happen? Look, I think we know people who know people. We need to get this out there. That's a freaking excellent idea, Clay. Yes, tick. Now, secondly, I agree about This Is Me. That should have won. Sorry, but that Coco song, wasn't interested. And The Greatest Showman was my number one and number two film of that year. I don't care if people think it's no good, it's badly written, it's bad. I don't care. I love it. I've seen it 50 times. It's the best movie of that year. That song was amazing. It means a lot to many people like myself, and it should have won. Keala Settle knocked it out of the park, and I feel like that was a real injustice. Now, what was the other thing you brought up? Because I've forgotten. Because I think I'm getting dementia.
As Clay calls it, the funeral dirge
Oh, yes.
of Billie Eilish winning over I'm Just Ken.
This is where we diverge, because I will not stand for Billie Eilish slander. As you know, I live in a Billie Eilish household. We all went to her concert a few weeks ago. She's incredible, and that song was so much better than I wasn't part of the I Am Ken fan club. No, I wasn't into it. Sorry, it's just not my thing. Anyway, that's where I sit.
I was on. I actually, if I could nominate two songs from Barbie, it would have been "I Just Can" and "Dance the Night Away" because I think Dua Lipa's a goddess.
Oh, me too. That's
and plus, that song is fucking. Imagine them opening the show with that song. That would have been on the level of Timberlake when he opened the show. That would have been genius.
Dua Lipa, oof, she's incredible.
One final thought from Clay. Going back to the only two songs being performed this year, do you think maybe this could favor Diane Warren as a protest vote? I know Golden is a lock to win, but do you think voters may finally reward her for both her longevity and her song not being performed? It reminds me of the time when the song from the Motorcycle Diaries won after it was revealed it wouldn't be performed on the show because the producers did not want the singer-songwriter of that song to perform it on the show. Instead, they wanted Antonio Banderas, who rightfully said no. It wasn't performed.
No, he said
and then it
yes.
Won. I thought he said yes.
I remember that performance because I remember when it won. After the performances, I was like, "Well, the best song of that was El Otro del Rio from Motorcycle Diaries." And that was performed with Antonio Banderas and Carlos Santana. That was performed there.
I don't remember, so I'm just going to trust you guys on this one.
It was 22 years ago, but it was performed.
Yes.
Yeah. But in answer to his question, I don't think so. I don't think Golden is losing. But I think I do agree with the principle that this is ridiculous. Either perform all of them or perform none of them. How rude to the other three songs that are just as valid, that are Oscar nominees. What is more important, that they're Oscar nominees or that they're going to be popular with like K-pop fans and people who like Sinners? Like, come on, guys, what are you doing? That's just rude. It's rude.
I agree. But thank you, Clay. Yep. We appreciate your letter.
That was a good letter.
And that's a great way to start letters. We're going to hold the sad stuff till the end of the show. Let's get to a rant, shall we? Let's talk Grammys.
I'm ready.
I know we all have opinions about this, but in case you were under a rock and didn't pay attention, and if you're not paying attention to the Grammys, why are you even listening to this podcast? Rob, why don't you go first? Because I know you have things to say.
I have some opinions. I do have some opinions. And look, the beauty of art, music, film, TV is that it's subjective, and everybody loves whatever they love, and that's okay. And if you think that Luther and Scissor Song was the best of the year, and also Wildflower from Billie Eilish, who I love, even though it's really from a 2024 album, which really should not have won record of 2025. How ridiculous! And then, of course, best album, Bad Bunny. He's not really my cup of tea. I can see that people love it, and that's okay. But I was really disappointed about Lady Gaga not winning one of the three major awards. She still has not been able to do it. She is one of the most consequential, beloved, acclaimed, popular artists of our time. And the fact that she could not win record, song, or album of the year for this output that she has, this is her best work ever. It's Gaga, pure peak Gaga, and she still couldn't do it because of a 2-year-old song from Billie Eilish, or as Luther, which is fine, but to me is not record of the year. And then, of course, the Bad Bunny album, which is good, but come on, people, it's not as good as Mayhem. That's just my opinion. Subjectivity, we're allowed to be subjective. So that's my rant. That's number one. But I do have something very positive to talk about with the Grammys that I'm really, really, really want to talk about. But I want to wait and let's just keep it really negative for now, and then we'll circle back to the positive. Okay?
Charlie.
I didn't watch the Grammys.
Well, hey, you
I
won.
didn't. I can't watch them anymore because they become too much of a concert. You know, they've even extended it. They extended, at least in its allotted time. They actually allot the 11 to 11:30 time slot now for the Grammys, and they and it takes so fucking long. And what do they present? Like seven categories, maybe
Nine.
during.
There were nine.
Oh, nine. Okay, it used to be eight, but now it's nine. I mean, come
Out of
on, you got
95 categories.
you this it's getting ridiculous, and I can't. And I honestly have nothing against any of the nominees this year. I don't have any. It's just I don't like the ceremony anymore. I think the last time I watched the Grammys in full was 2020. The because the and I'll never forget that because that was the same day that out of nowhere Kobe Bryant died.
My rants have more to do with some of the performance and some of the reactions to some of the performances. And as we all know, I am the official old fuddy-duddy of this podcast. And so my music tastes pretty much account to me seeing who's on TV and going, who is that? What is that? What is that song? I've never heard this song. I don't care if it's one of the biggest hits of the year. I've never heard it. That being said, I don't have any particular objection to Billie Eilish winning. I mean, it's their third time that they've won Song of the Year.
Yeah.
That which I
And
believe is a record.
And if I remember correctly, also, but the thing about to your point, Rob, the album came out in 2024, but it wasn't released as a single until,
Correct.
and that's how they always judge things.
Yeah.
And that's how they've done it for years. So
Yeah, always.
that's nothing new, and they've used that a lot of times to get things in from like what feels like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then on top of that, and then I really, by the end of the night, I was rooting for Bad Bunny to win, only because I knew how many right-wing heads would explode.
Oh yeah.
Especially leading up to the Super Bowl. And because I am a petty bitch, I am very happy that that fed into that. Also, the fact that it is unquestionably the biggest album in that category. There's just no debating that in terms of global impact of that record. Then great. I'm all for that. Um, Here's where I want to rant. I am so over I'm so over bad singing and bad performing and it being pronounced as brave because of the package that it comes in. And I'm sorry, Justin Bieber, I was totally happy without you in existence in my headspace. But then to have you come out, where are your clothes? And you're doing basically the old Ed Sheeran guitar loop trick. Guess what? That doesn't make you giving a raw performance. I guarantee you, just because you took your clothes off and walked around and didn't engage with the audience at all, and people, I kept reading things the next day of journalists going, "Oh my God, it was so stripped down and raw." Being stripped down is a metaphor. It's not a literal thing. Why, what the fuck are we talking about here? Like, I'm okay with the equal opportunity showing of skin. That's not an issue. But don't do it for Justin Bieber and call him brave and giving a stripped down raw performance. You know who doesn't need to do that? Joni Mitchell, who won her 11th Grammy. You know, what the
Uh,
fuck are we doing?
what are we doing?
What counts as talent? It just gets so far away. I mean, can you imagine, you know, Simon and Garfunkel? Nobody really wants to imagine that, but
That's my almost
maybe
father
there's
there.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
sorry, um, but I just can we please have some like fucking just play the goddamn songs and take
Hmm.
all the artifice around. I realize that we live in the age where everything is visual and everything has to be a production number. You know who made me the happiest? Olivia Dean performed a
Beautiful.
great pop song and did it simply and without a lot of flash. She didn't have to be lifted up to the ceiling. She wasn't doing some weird, backstage, look like it was going from the plane to the luggage cart sort of performance of whatever the fuck that was, Addison Ray. She didn't have to jump on tables, somber, missing an
Don't.
E.
I will not allow Somber slander, but go on.
God, eat a sandwich or something. Jesus. Um,
Who is she? Callista Flockhart or something? About there.
Anyway,
you know,
I
so
hear
so
ya.
I mean, I found the Grammys mostly entertaining. Trevor
Mhm.
Noah, he's a good host, but he's a little too, yay, music, how great. Let's have another round of applause for this. Please stop doing that. Um, I'm sure there's other things that piss me off, but I'm sure I'll have to collect those thoughts. Any other Grammy thoughts?
I
So,
got some. Oh, go ahead.
I will just say, honestly, I don't really know much about Bad Bunny. I know that every song, if I were to hear a Bad Bunny song, I would not be able to tell you if it's him. I would think
Hmm.
that every lyric is asking, "Where is the library?" So, I mean, I'm just but that's a me thing. That's a me thing.
Donde está
You can't
biblio?
deny the cultural impact and it was not an out of nowhere. This was the first time since 2018 that the highest rated album nominated according to Metacritic won. Last time was Casey Musgraves. His album had a commanding 95 out of 100 on Metacritic. It's the only one album has gotten a higher score than that. Since Metacritic's been keeping scores. That's been nominated for album of the year, and that was a 96 that was gotten by Kendrick Lamar for "To Pimp a Butterfly." Also, technically, according to Billboard, Bad Bunny's album was the second biggest of the nominees. It placed number 8 in the year end. Kendrick Lamar's GNX placed number 4.
Wow.
But I
Okay.
mean, good for Bad Bunny. Good for Bad Bunny. And there's no denying he is a part of not just music, but and not just Spanish language music, but just music in general, but also just in our culture. I mean, he's acting in movies. I mean, over Thanksgiving, I watched him in that Caught Stealing movie, which he was great in. Um, I mean, good for him, and good for him, and good for Kendrick Lamar for keeping up rap artists being able to win in the general field, which was something that had been an impediment for a long time. I think it's a welcome thing, and I mean, and I'm normally on the same page as you, Tony. You know me. I mean, I'm the, other than Radiohead, I'm into Steely Dan and Peter Gabriel. So, I mean, my
Mhm.
music tastes are more suited back into the '70s. But,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no denying the impact that Bad Bunny has had on the culture, and good for him.
So look, I've got two things to talk about quick. I'll try to be as brief as I can. Number one, about Bad Bunny, and I've been getting really frustrated. Maybe I'm a bit too online with this, but with the right wing echo chamber snowflake industrial complex, who are so upset that Bad Bunny is performing at the Super Bowl, complaining that he's not American enough, even though he's an American citizen from Puerto Rico, and we've had lots of foreign people performing at the Super Bowl in the past. I didn't realize the Super Bowl had to be a populist, nationalist, like chest thumping exercise. And again, like on the left, there's no TPUSA and CPA and all the other bullshit things that they do on the right. Like there's none of that. There's no fireworks with Erica Kirk coming out, but on the left. Okay. And so if if at the Super Bowl they had like Kenny Chesney and like Lainey Wilson or something really country and American that would keep the right happy, the left wouldn't complain and go and create their own fake Super Bowl halftime show like they're doing now for TPUSA. It's so embarrassing. Why are you always so offended and angry about it? It's the new woke right. They talk about wokeism, the woke left, the whatever. That's not the case anymore. It's JD Vance smirking about saying that he won't apologize to Alex Preddy's family, and then talking about how perceptive Donald Trump is when he says to Caitlin Collins she should smile more. And then they're complaining. Now they're complaining about Bad Bunny, like it's such the end of that they've got to have a Kid Rock concert that 5 people will watch because it's just nonsense. Okay, that's that. Now, onto a better, like a happier note. When we talked about the Grammys last week and we talked about Best New Artist, we quite rightly said, who the hell are these people? Because we're a little old, right? So what I decided, because of course, Charlie, you just explained what you listen to. Tony, you've got very different music tastes, and I like to listen to EDM. I have been listening to the Seurat soundtrack nonstop on loop for about 3 weeks. Okay, so I'm not plugged in like my kids are, for example. So I decided I'm going to listen to all the best new artists. I'm going to really dig in, and I want to know what they're all about. Now, I like Lola Young. She's awesome. Great song. Messy. It won on the night. Alex Warren has that one great song I really like, but he's fine. Leon Thomas, not really my cup of tea, but he's really good as well. And the Marias, I listened to them the other day. They're okay. Not my cup of tea. But then I was like, okay, Olivia Dean, wow. Oh my God, that album is incredible. It's so beautiful to have on the background while you're working or cooking or whatever. It's lovely. Cat's Eye, fantastic. Great K-pop sound, bit of EDM in there, bubblegum pop. My kids love them, so we've been listening to them all week. Addison Rae, I thought she was a TikTok person in during COVID, and she was, but now she's a big pop artist, and that album is really good. There's a couple of really banger songs on that album, like I kind of like Diet Pepsi, for example, great song. And then Somber. Wow. Oh my God. That album is incredible. I cannot believe I was like, oh, why have I never heard of this guy? He's like 7 foot tall, beanpole. He's really like self-conscious about his body. He talks about it all the time. He's really nerdy. He's like 20 years old. He's a baby. And this album is so mature. It's so beautiful lyrically, musically, melodically. That song 12 to 12, I've been playing it on loop. I went to the supermarket this morning before I started working and it was playing and I was just dancing down the aisles. It was like, this is life. Okay, I'm done.
I'm happy for that experience for you.
Thank you.
Um, all right, let's move on. Let's talk films. Spirit
Yeah.
Awards are coming up, and we have two, count them, two Spirit Award voters among us. Well, I'll join the group next year because I'm having serious FOMO right now. So obviously we don't have time to go through every single category, but let's just have each of you kind of talk about some of the big choices that you made that you're passionate about. Charlie, you started this whole thing, so why don't you go first?
So last year, I was actually very proud of myself in the way that I voted because I didn't vote for any film more than once. I voted for a single film across the board. Like my one vote for Honora was in the supporting category, but it wasn't for Yura Borisov. It was for Karen Tergullian, who plays the guy who's like shepherding around, who's just driving them everywhere. He was in all of Sean Baker's movies. Great. This year, a bit more condensed, but I did spread it out a bit. Um, uh, I voted for Train Dreams in two categories. I voted for it in cinematography, and I voted for it in the directing category because even though it may not be my favorite film of the bunch, it may not be my favorite film of the bunch. I cannot argue with how it's directed. It's impeccably directed, and also Clinton was very nice when I met him at Middleburg. I've always said I've said this before. I'll say it again. I thought he was hitting on me until I realized he was a director. He was he's being nice to everybody. Um, um, I voted for One of Them Days in two categories. I voted for SZA in Best Breakthrough Performance, and I voted for the film in Best First Feature because it was such a refreshing, old-fashioned, great buddy comedy that I absolutely loved watching. I voted for Sovereign in two places. I voted for both its nominations. I voted for Jacob Tremblay in Best Supporting Performance, and I voted for it in Best Screenplay. For Best First Screenplay, I voted for Lurker, which really stuck with me, especially because of that ending. The way the ending manifests itself is so really, really just hang with me and haunts me. Um, and for my big category, my big one was Twinless, which I voted for in Best Feature, and for Dylan O'Brien in Best Lead Performance. I think his performance in that is extraordinary. I recently rewatched the movie, and in my TikTok feed, the scene where he says everything to his dead brother that he never got to say. That scene, he's absolutely incredible in. He's absolutely incredible in that scene, and I really feel, and it's a shame he didn't get more notice this award season. I think there's like maybe a 5% chance he could take that category because if I think Rose Byrne will win it, but if there's more support for Joel Edgerton than I think, and it's one of those situations where it's these two and they're right neck and neck with each other, a third can come in and win. I think that would be him, but I wouldn't bet on it though. As I said, only a 5% chance.
Rob?
I just want to say that this is totally Charlie's thing, and I'm coattailing because last year you said, Charles, you explained what you were doing and how it's a great idea and it's a really good way to see some amazing films, and I was like, that's a great idea. So I did it, paid the fee, and it's been really great. I've been really enjoying it. So I'm just totally following in your footsteps. I found this really challenging. There's a lot of categories where I'm like, I can't decide. It's like this must be how Emmy voters and Oscar voters feel. But very briefly, I ended up going pretty much with the most popular ones, I guess, because they're the ones I like. Train Dreams and Best Feature. I went for Mary Bronstein for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, and director. Best lead performance was very difficult because I'm like, should I just go Rose Byrne because I honestly believe she gave the best performance, or should I go with someone else who needs the votes, kind of like Tessa Thompson in Hedda? I really liked her as well. I ended up I just decided I'm just going to vote for Tessa Thompson because she's really good in Hedda, and I feel like she missed out on an Oscar nomination. Unfortunately, it's really sad. In supporting performance, that was a really tough one as well. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go the whole hog for Hedda, and I just voted for Anina Hoss because I thought she was really excellent in that film as well. And probably one more. Why not? Really, really big shocker, guys. Hold on. For international film, I went with Surat. So that's all I have to say.
I'm sorry, the pause you just heard was me picking my jaw off the floor at that pick. Um, well, excellent. Well, now because I'm a total bandwagon, I will be joining you all in doing this next year, and we will probably do a whole episode about this. Um,
You need to forward me your bank information so I can wire you the bribe to vote for what I want you to vote for next
Okay,
year.
will do. Will do.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to give
love
me
taking
money.
bribes.
I can be bought with snacks. So
Same. Red
yeah.
wine
What are
is
you,
usually
a
a good one.
prisoner? Raising money for his commissary or something? Jesus.
Cigarettes.
I don't need a lot in my life. Just good
Same.
snacks.
You're a
Um,
public school teacher. You need everything.
that's why I
Please
need
do.
snacks because I can't afford to buy
Yeah.
decent snacks.
Oh, damn.
um, so let's talk docs now. People who may have followed us at Gold Derby might have remembered that particularly I think Charlie and I are very big into docs. I love a good documentary. I think documentaries oftentimes don't get the respect that they deserve, whether they get Oscar nominated or not. I think more docs should be in the main above the line categories for things like editing and directing and picture and writing. I think docs are written just as meticulously uh, as any narrative feature, and I think they deserve that respect. This year at the Oscars, we have it was a really interesting year in that there were a lot of things that I thought were going to get on the short list that didn't make it on the short list, and it's kind of thrown my whole thinking about this category into chaos. So I have seen three of the five. I have seen Come See Me in the Good Light, which is currently streaming, I believe, on Apple TV. I have seen The Perfect Neighbor, which is on Netflix. And I have seen The Alabama Solution, which is on HBO Max. I don't believe the other two have premiered to streaming yet. What have you guys seen in the documentary feature category?
I've only seen The Perfect Neighbor. I'm really behind. I have to prioritize other things because I just don't have time. And I'm going to be very honest about that. I love documentaries, but I'm not an expert. And so I'm just going to let you guys talk. I've seen The Perfect Neighbor and I'm going to predict that at the Oscars. And that's as far as I can take it, I think, this season.
I've also only seen The Perfect Neighbor so far. I've been meaning to watch The Alabama Solution for months now. Um, but I always adore this category and documentary short. I've always, as someone who's been watching the shorts, all the short nominations for I think going on a decade now. Um, I've always joked that the hardest category, if you're going to watch every nominee in a category, is documentary short, usually every year. Because like for a good like I want to say like 3 or 4 years, there was always like, here's one about a disease outbreak, here's one about the Syrian civil war, here's one about honor killings, here's one about and so it was always a slog to get through. But they were good, but most of them were great. And I've always loved documentaries, even before I knew that there was a term for that kind of movie when I was a kid, that there were these films about real things that happened and they weren't dramatic, or they weren't, your narrative type. And yeah, I've always loved them, and I really wish I'm with you, Tony. I think it's I'll never forget when they first did the Year of 10 in 2009. And they went, and I think if I remember correctly, the Academy president at that time was Tom Chirac, who I loved because he had a very thick New York accent. And they asked him what his reaction was to the 10, and he said, "I'm really happy, but I really wish that we had a foreign language film, and I wish we had a documentary. I wish we had gotten a documentary in there." And it's almost it's a travesty to me that that no documentary has been able to break through in Best Picture. If I remember correct, if it's never happened in the existence of the cat. It's
Crazy.
never happened, and it is crazy considering how some you think like maybe in 2005 maybe March of the Penguins would have broken in, although that would have made me immensely pissed. But that's another thing altogether. Um, but like in 2002, if you had 10 nominees, Bowling for Columbine probably would have been in there. And so it's one of the things where we need the category, we need both the documentary feature category and the documentary short category, and hopefully
this is something. This is still one of those ceilings that hasn't been broken for the Oscars, and I'm hoping that that changes in the next maybe 5 or 10 years.
Well, it's interesting because I am going to predict The Perfect Neighbor all the way through to the Oscars. I just feel like it has consistently shown up everywhere, um, and it consistently shows up in near the top, and it keeps winning things. Um, and it certainly has a timeliness that I thought it was timely when I first saw it several months ago. But for those of you who are not familiar with it, we talked about it on the podcast, but it is composed entirely of body camera footage from this killing, and it plays
CCTV.
out it plays out pretty much in real time uh, of this really horrific event that is about race and it's about community. But I think the body camera aspect of it is really what puts it, I think it makes it even more shocking considering what they're talking about with ICE in terms of forcing ICE members to have body cameras. By the way, about fucking time. Um,
Hello. Yeah.
that that this film that's made up entirely of body camera footage has also this wonderful ability to have, even though it's about such a terrible event and such a terrible moment of racism and ignorance and bigotry, and there's no other way to interpret what that killing being about anything other than racism and absolute terrible, horrible bigotry. I actually think there's also a strangely uplifting aspect to the film in that it shows law enforcement who oftentimes, both fairly and unfairly, being criticized uh, for over policing and things like that. I found it refreshing to see law enforcement in such a positive light because there are good police officers out there. I know several of them personally. And to paint with a broad brush is always to the detriment of every human being. And so it's good to see the humanity in everything. That being said, I really I watched the Alabama Solution, which is about the a series of really horrific events taking place in the Alabama prison system. It's a very good documentary. It is a very chilling and depressing documentary. I think one of the things that could hurt it in terms of winning is the fact that there really is no, as chilling and as horrible as it is, I can see a lot of voters responding negatively to the kind of lack of a resolution. Um, it does not end in a good way. I think Come See Me in the Good Light is a big surprise. This is about the poet and activist Andrea Gibson. Talks about her life and also talks about her and her wife struggling with Gibson's terminal cancer diagnosis. She passed away in July of 2025. And it is a very touching, very funny, and very darkly comic, but yet also uplifting. It manages to straddle all of these lines that I think reflects what real life is, which is not just all tragic. It's not just all happy. It's all of these things. It's directed by Ryan White and co-produced by Tig Notaro, who, as a co-producer, she is Oscar nominated for it. I think it could be a spoiler. I think it has a really good. I think that could resonate because even though it is very sad in places, it is also incredibly funny at times and very uplifting. And especially with Andrea having to deal with their because they use their genderqueer, they use they them pronouns, using talking about some of the trauma that they experienced in their childhood, and yet using that trauma to try and affect positive change. in a way that is not heavy-handed. I just really, really responded to this more than I thought it was, than I thought I would. So I highly recommend that. And I'm looking to see the last two, which are, I believe, it's Mr. Nobody against Putin. What is the last one?
Oh my God.
I I'm having a senior moment right now.
Same. While you're looking, I'm going to watch Mr. Nobody against Putin this week, and I'm interviewing the director next week. And
Cutting Through
yeah, so
Rocks.
Cutting Through
Cutting Through
Rocks. That's
Rocks.
right.
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes. That looks really intriguing, actually, as well.
Yeah, that's about the female journalist in Iran, I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah. So, I like that we're spending some time on some of these categories that don't, I think, get the respect and the pressure and the attention that they deserve. Um, that being said, let's talk about the docs that stay with us. That this week is our top five favorite documentaries of all time, and I want to just I don't know if you guys approach this the same way I did. I
Did we want to do what we're watching first, or did we?
Oh yes, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
We
Ah,
usually close. Do we want to close out with that top five
yeah,
list again?
yeah. Let's do a
I
quick
want to close out with
sidebar.
I want to do a quick Catherine O'Hara thing at the very end too.
Okay, okay,
Um,
then we'll save that for the end. Then, okay.
Save that for the end. But yes, you're right. I am so sorry about that. Yes, what are you guys watching? Anything coming to mind?
Well, I finally, after putting it off for a long time, I finally watched the finale of Heated
Oh
Rivalry.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
right.
And I had to go to the doctor the next day because I got diagnosed with diabetes because of how sweet it was. It was, I'm sorry, diabetes. Um, uh,
Diabetes.
Diabetes. Um, uh,
Love it.
I that show is so fucking good. That
Is
show is
it?
so fucking good. It is.
Do I need to watch it?
I cannot believe that it is created, that it was developed and written and directed by the guy who played Pastor Glenn on Letterkenny, which I started a rewatch of yesterday because of how much I enjoyed Heated Rivalry. This show is just so good. I love that it is, first of all, it is sexy. It is sexy as hell, and it doesn't shy away from it. God bless them for that. Um, I also just the emotion though of it is so good, and the way that especially the way that it uses the whole Scott and Kip storyline. Saving that for episode three, having all of episode three be about that, and just uh, and then the payoff at the end of episode five. Jesus Christ, I have been watching so many YouTube videos of straight guy hockey podcasts recapping it, and there have been and I guess these are guys who have a more progressive mind view, but man, they're just guys that are just eating this up. I think my personal favorite has been the one called is this podcast called What Chaos. I think that's my personal favorite one. As Jacob Tierney has been on that podcast several times, actually. So I've absolutely adored it. I love how Francois Arnaud has this. When I saw him as Scott, I was like, God, he has daddy energy. And then I was like, oh wait, he's only a year older than me. So I had one of those moments.
Let's
I had one of
go.
those moments. But dear God, that uh, show is just, and it's a shame that it's not that there's this weird eligibility rule at the Emmys because I'm sorry, I thought Squid Game was entirely a Korean production. I don't remember that having any American. Maybe Netflix got on board
Because it's
earlier than
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but that's a bullshit. That's a bullshit thing. It should be it should be, and it honestly, do we think it'd be sweeping the Emmys? If it would
It'd probably
if
do
it were
well.
eligible?
It probably would do well, and it
Oh,
would probably do well
oh, I think it would do
internationally.
really well.
So
I think Francois Arnault would win supporting actor in a drama. I can't remember the actress's name, but the woman who plays Yuna, Shane's mother, would win supporting actress in a drama, unless
Mm.
she was in guest, and then she'd win
Episode
that.
six alone. Episode six
Oh dear. Well,
alone.
other than if there was an award for most clueless but well-meaning dad, Dylan Walsh would win that in a
I like Dylan
landslide.
Walsh. He's a great actor. Wow.
You had to
You
go to the
know,
cottage for a fucking charger?
oh my gosh. Well,
Oh, bless his heart.
I was on TikTok last night. I go on TikTok like maybe once every few months. It's not really my thing, but I was on it, and then something came up. It was like this guy. He was like, "I'm going to watch Heated Rivalry to see if I'm gay." It was like he's just a straight, like, really funny TikTok influencer, but not one of those
I
losers.
think I saw
And
that
so
one too.
yeah, and he's just kind of sitting on the couch with it on, and like so you can see his whole body. And he kept, I know this is very inappropriate if children are watching, go away.
Oh, and his
And he
wife
kept,
comes home in the middle of it, right?
yes, yes. And
Yeah,
she sits
yeah.
with him, and it's really fun. And he keeps kind of looking down to see if there's going to be any movement from what he's watching. And then he gets through the episode. He's like, okay, so nothing happened, but there was a bit of rumblings. I don't think I'm gay, but I was really into it, or something like that. And I thought that's really cool. I'm gonna eventually get to it. I just haven't had a chance yet, and I'm a little scared. I don't know what to expect, but I'm really interested in the whole narrative about how this show has really captured a moment and it's made a lot of people maybe feel really seen. I'm really down for that. That's really cool. To change the subject, because we do have to move on, I haven't watched really any movies or TV shows in the last week or two because I've been watching The Traders USA. Uh, Alan Cummings just killing it in that. And I really, if you haven't watched it and you don't want to know who's been voted out yet or whatever, please go away for a second. But Lisa Rinna just got banished in the last episode, and I was pretty disappointed because she is just a star, and she is so funny. What a beast! Yeah, and I've been watching that, and also we have a show. I know you have Married at First Sight, but we call it MAFS. It's the acronym MAFS AU. The Australian version is absolute ridiculous trash, but the whole country stops. It's the highest rated show in Australia. We all but we all know the beginning of February is maths season. It's like season 14 every year. We've all just gotten through January and we're like, okay, as a nation, let's all now watch this maths where it's just all these ridiculous influencers who just want to be famous on Instagram for 15 minutes, pretend to they want to find love and will you have my back? And I put up my walls and it's absolute ridiculous nonsense, but everyone watches it. And I've been watching that. And finally, I was watching the Australian Open last weekend. Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic, just amazing. I'm not a huge tennis fan, but I do
That's
sometimes
tennis,
enjoy
right?
it. That's tennis. It's a game where they
Okay.
hit a ball across the
Well,
court.
I
But
mean, there's so many opens, and I know there's a U.S.
yeah,
Open tennis and there's a U.S. Open
yeah,
golf tournament,
yeah. But I
so I
mean,
can never keep
golf.
track.
I am doing golf. That's a bridge too far for me. And then of course my beloved Sydney FC are playing this weekend as usual, and so I'm always watching football as well. So that's where I'm at. What about you, Tony? What are you watching?
I'll be very brief. I still think that when it comes to network television, I think nobody is giving a better, consistently great performance than Ramon Rodriguez on Will Trent, on ABC's Will Trent. I
Oh yeah.
think he continues week after week to find new layers of that character, and I think he's magnificent. I've also, speaking of reality television, I was turned on to a couple of crime shows on A&E. Ironically, that used to be called the Arts and Entertainment Network. Now it's pretty much just crime all the time. Um, but two shows, Homicide Squad New Orleans, which basically follows a detective squad in New Orleans in real time as they investigate murders. It's no reenactments, no nothing. It's all done, following a case uh, with live interviews, body cams, the whole nine yards. And right after it, there's another show on called Crime in Progress that is, again, like The Perfect Neighbor, is all body camera footage and is just a raucous good time. Um, you never really understand why people act the way they, when you start feeling that you yourself are a weirdo, there's always someone that can one up you, and you find them on these shows. And then finally, uh, as we are recording this on a Thursday afternoon in the United States, which means that there's a new episode of The Pit debuting shortly. The Pit has been just as wonderful this season as it has been last season. It is a slow build, but I will say, and those of you that have been keeping up to date with The Pit, the award for Best Supporting Prosthetic is
Ooh,
already, I think, locked up, and I will
that
explain it
was
off
I haven't watched
air.
it, and even I know about it.
even
Oh,
I know
thank
about
God.
it. Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Wow. Was that really necessary? But anyway.
Yeah, and
And also,
ironically,
I just
like
gotta.
the episode last week where with the readjusting the tailbone, where they actually showed a thumb going up a hairy prosthetic
Oh
ass.
yeah. What the hell?
Way to go, Chris Sarandon. Very nicely done.
Wow.
I
Or as
think
I
my
call
dad.
it, Wednesday.
I don't think I've seen my dad flinch that much ever in his life than watching that scene.
I don't want to
It
see
You
was.
pointed him
that.
afterwards to go, "You're homophobic."
Yeah.
I,
Can't we
I,
just use our
You should
imaginations?
have. You should have. And I also just
anyway,
got to say, I haven't watched it. It's happening over the next couple of days, but tomorrow, cannot wait. Opening ceremonies of the 2026 Winter Olympics. I love Olympic opening ceremonies. One of my greatest. I spent. It happened right before the last one. The 2024 Summer Olympics happened on my birthday weekend. I was up in New York. I was staying with Dan Bayer, and we got really baked and watched the Paris opening ceremonies. It was
Oh,
fantastic.
that would have been delightful.
Um, I mean, most of it just because we were baked and we're like, did they just show a three? Did they just allude to a three-way with two guys in that opening
Yeah.
ceremony clip? And
I
then
love
when
that
Celine
opening
Dion, and
ceremony.
then Celine Dion at the end was just like, holy shit, Jesus Christ. I can't wait. And then Sunday, got the Super Bowl going. Can't wait for it. Go Seattle.
yay,
Wow.
sports ball. Okay. Um, all right, let's talk documentaries now. Let's see if you guys approach this the same way I did. When I was making my list, I picked the documentaries that have stayed with me the most. These are not necessarily, in my opinion, the best
No.
documentaries, but these are the ones that are just my favorites. The ones that anytime they're on, I will watch them. So, um, Rob, you get to go first this week. What is
Wow.
your number five?
I got to say, by the way, this is really difficult. At first, I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to think of five documentaries that I like. But then I started thinking about it. Oh, there was like about 15. And then I had to whittle it down to five, plus two honorable mentions. So I'm going to start with 20 Feet to Stardom from 2013. I loved that documentary. It really opened my eyes. Morgan Neville's the director. It used archival footage. It was about, behind the scenes backup singers. It wasn't just the music and it wasn't just the personalities and the way that the whole thing was put together that I loved. It was the message about you can be really, really good and excel at something that you are doing without having to always aspire to be the star of the show. Like you can you can live a good life and do the best work that makes you happy and without it being you being the main character. I know that sounds odd, but the way that this film put that to me, I felt like it was a bit of a life lesson. I love that movie, and so that's my number five.
Charlie?
I don't think it's where framing at all. My number five, I feel like I had to do this at number five. It is genuinely one of my favorites. After I claimed that Bowling for Columbine was a movie that everybody loves that is not actually that good, I decided with my number five to go with Michael Moore's actual masterpiece, and that is Sicko.
Oh,
Sicko is the best movie he's ever made. It is because it gets to the real tragedy of the American healthcare system that there are people that play by the rules. It's like what we hear with immigration all the time. You have to come the right way, but people come the right way, and we still try to kick them out. But these are people that play by the rules, and they still get utterly screwed over. And it's one of those where there is a solution and that's the thing that I think distinguishes this from something like Bullet for Columbine is that there is and more shows this with how other countries approach healthcare. And the idea, it's not spending money on it, it's an investment in people for Christ's sake. And that's how so much should be structured with the social safety net, and Moore does it with his trademark acerbic wit and humor. This movie I really feel is Michael Moore's master, and really excels as a great documentary. Just a fantastic thing through and through.
That is actually on my honorable mention list. That was on my initial list that I whittled down. My number five is Life Itself, which is the documentary about Roger Ebert.
Oh,
Um,
that's a good one.
and this is a film that I just adore. It's directed by Steve James, who directed Hoop Dreams, one of the commonly thought of as one of the great documentaries of all time. And this is just such a in quintessential Roger Ebert fashion, it is everything a great documentary is supposed to be. It's informative, it's funny, it's educational, and it's also unflinching. They do not shy away from the end of Roger Ebert's life, which this documentary covers. He actually died during production of the documentary, and they go in detail, and some of it is very difficult to watch. Uh, and But it is a perfect portrait of a very flawed man, but a man who really contributed something to the written word in a way that I think will be remembered for years to come. So that is my number five. Rob, what's your number four?
Well, um, there's this film from 1982 that I discovered back in my youth called Koyaanisqatsi. I think that's how you pronounce it. By Godfrey Reggio with music by Philip Glass. It's when I first started getting into film music. That was my entree to Koyaanisqatsi, and it's like a non-narrative feature documentary film, an essay in images and sound about the state of American civilization. And it's more of a montage film, but it's so mesmerizing, whether you watch it baked or not. It's just really beautiful. Time lapse visuals, urban environments, rural. It's a part of a trilogy, and it's the first one. It's the most famous one. And I highly recommend that if you haven't seen it or heard of it, seek it out. It's a really immersive, only like 82 minutes. It's a really immersive, beautiful documentary. It's like a nature film, but it's human beings that we're all staring at. They should have David Attenborough, and narrating it. But that's my number four.
Charlie?
Okay, so this is a bit of a cop out, but my number four is a tie, and there is a through line between them. Uh, it is the animated documentary Persepolis and the documentary Kedi about Kedi, of course, is the documentary about the cats of Istanbul. And they're both impeccably made. Kedi is just a beautifully made, showing this not just the cats, but the heartwarming people who help take care of them, and has one of my favorite quotes about religion. Even though I'm not a believing man myself, there is one of the men in the documentary says, "Dogs think people are God, but cats don't. Cats know that people act as the middleman to God's will. They are not ungrateful; they just know better."
Wow, love
Which
it.
to me is just such a wonderfully perceptive thing. And also, Persepolis captures this really interesting time. You know, it's not just about the rise of the Islamic Revolution in Iran. It's about the what was at first the overthrow of the Shah, and how the this and the more artistic progressive community of Iran thought that this was going to be this amazing moment for the country. Um, and then, of course, ended up being falling into the hands of the Islamic Revolution and the oppressive regime that followed. It's brilliantly made in the way, there's this great scene where after the Ayatollah comes to power, this young Marjan is wearing this jacket that says "Punk is not dead," and these two women that are like agents of the state, and they're scolding her for not wearing her proper head covering, and at times they go from these women to looking like snakes. It's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. And the reason I have these tied is because it is a through line, and this should be thought of with where America is right now. That just because a country is under an authoritarian regime does not mean that there are people of good hearts. That does not mean that there are not people of good hearts in this country. We see that with the people in Iran of Persepolis, and we see this with the glorious people of Istanbul who help take care of the street cats of that city. while living under an oppressive regime. These people still have an amazing heart, and you shouldn't judge everyone in a country based on some dipshits hungry for power.
Yeah, baby.
Ooh, I really like that. My number four is 2012's Jiro Dreams of Sushi. If you are a lifelong sushi fan, and I say lifelong, I really didn't start eating sushi until I was in my probably late 20s. And because I
Oh,
have my dad would rather die than eat anything like that, and my mom is actually allergic to much of the
oh,
stuff. She's allergic to shellfish, so she just
yeah.
can't really be around anything like that.
Mazel
So
tov.
I
Yeah,
was a late bloomer to it, but oh my God. I can't get enough. I mean, if I
same.
became a pescatarian tomorrow, I'd be happy. Um, but this film is so delightful about this, the great chef Ono, who at the time of the film, he was 85 years old and still running one of the most exclusive Michelin star sushi restaurants in the world, has a 6 to 9 month waiting list to get in there. And, he's it's such a delightful, it's just, you can't watch that movie and not be happy. There's something slightly also comedic about the fact that his, at that time, 50-year-old son is still working for him and is just kind of waiting for his old man to either die or retire so that he can step up and take over. Uh, for the record, Chef Ono is now 80 or now 100 years old, and his son now actually is running things. But Chef Ono is still, oops, sorry, dropping things. Is
You're just so
still
verklempt.
oh God, I love this film so much. It's so great, and it always makes me
It's,
hungry.
I'm getting hungry just thinking about sushi. I've got some downstairs. My
I mean,
number
I could go for a
three.
dragon roll right now, man.
Oh, baby, I love it. My number three is a film called Taxi to the Dark Side. It actually won the Oscar
Oh,
in
that's a good one.
2007. Yeah, Alex Gibney, produced by Aussie Eva Orner, and it delves into the harrowing December 2022 incident where an Afghan taxi driver named Dilawar was beaten by American soldiers at Bagram. It really opened my eyes. That movie really impacted me, just emotionally and psychologically. And I think about it every once in a while. I really do. And that's what I think good documentaries are supposed to do: open your eyes to something you didn't know about. And but apart from that, just in terms of the filmmaking itself, it's so tight. It's so perfectly edited and narrated or put together and structured. Yeah, it's a really easy watch, and it shouldn't be. It's a really, really challenging subject. And yeah, I just thought it was absolutely spellbinding.
Charlie?
That's actually the movie that beat Sicko at the Oscars.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I go to be happy, and I love that at least gave Alex Gibney an Oscar because he's such an amazing filmmaker. My number three is a very little known one. It's from a documentary filmmaker by the name of Mark Levin. You may have seen some of his stuff. He's done a lot of stuff for HBO. This is a movie called The Protocols of Zion. It's an examination of anti-Semitism and specifically this supposed text that has been the basis of a lot of anti-Semitism of this the called the Protocols of Zion. It's been debunked. It's not true, but it's supposedly the minutes of this secret meeting of Jewish elders that outlines how to control society and world domination, which of course is a running theme in anti-Semitic tropes. And it debunks it, but it goes into each one of the protocols and looks at how it's affected different things. He gets an interview with one of the members of the National Alliance, a white identity hate group. They invited him out, Mark Levin, who is Jewish. They invited him to their compound. He survived, and they gave him a tour. They showed him, and it's a really funny story about how he got them to say yes to it. But it's a really fascinating examination of it. It came out in like 2005, 2006. So, but there's a lot of themes that still resonate today. It's a fascinating documentary talking about going back to Henry Ford putting actually would put the protocols in new Model Ts to enlighten people who would buy cars as about about the Jewish conspiracy. It's a haunting movie. It starts out with it's how I first found out about the conspiracy theory about how no Jews died on 9/11. They were all told to stay home, which is just like you just look at the name list of the dead, and that's obviously false. And it also just goes into the batshit mindset of conspiracy thinking. You have a guy in this one. He's interviewing this one guy who, first of all, who he was like, "Yo, Jews can do everything here in New York. You got Bloomberg, you know." And the filmmaker goes, "Well, what about Giuliani?" And the one guy goes, "It's in his name, Giuliani." And it's just like, and he couldn't even stop. He couldn't help but laugh at that. It's a fascinating documentary. I highly recommend it if you ever get a chance to see it.
My number two or three, sorry, jeez, my brain. Um, my number three is the only Oscar winner on my list, and that is Free Solo. The 2018 documentary about Alex Honnold, who very famously in recent weeks just scaled Taipei 1 in Taiwan. This is about him being the first person to free solo climb El Capitan. And aside from being just kind of a very visually arresting, wonderful portrait of this guy, this film also is not afraid to show the warts of this guy, the kind of single-minded, bordering on narcissism of this individual, and does not spare him, does not, it's not a hagiographic worship documentary about this guy. It's also a film that I watch at least two or three times a year because I use it in my classroom. It goes with some of the curriculum in my work, so it's a film that I go through very regularly. So I do love this film a lot. Rob.
So I cheated as well, and I have a tie for my number two. It's from the same director. So Asif Kapadia put out two really awesome documentaries in 2015 and 2010. So Senna in 2010 about Ayrton Senna, the F1 driver. And by the way, I'm not really into Formula One at all, but I knew about Ayrton Senna and how he died on the track. And then, of course, Amy about Amy Winehouse in 2015. The reason why I got into those two films was because of the scores, both by Antonio Pinto, one of the best film score composers ever. He did Central Station. He also did that TV show on Apple a couple of seasons called the Mosquito Coast. And he's just an amazing composer. Anyway, I highly recommend you listen to the score, particularly for Senna. It's absolutely it's just incredible. Anyway, those two films are really, really cool. They're really well done. Especially Amy, it really, really got to me because I got to understand her life, and we were able to kind of see the potential for a real star who died too soon. And I can watch those two films repeatedly, and as you know, that's one of my metrics for whether or not I think a film is an all-timer. So yeah, they're my number two.
Charlie.
So my number two, like Rob, I don't know if this was a conscious choice on your end, or Tony. I don't know if this was a conscious choice on your end, Tony. But you said that you had it's the only that Free Solo is the only Oscar winner. I actually made an effort to not have any Oscar winners in my lineup, but there was one I couldn't help, and that's Man on Wire. Oh my God, that movie is so good. I recently rewatched it because my mom hadn't seen it, and my mom had just completed this immense documentary series that's on Amazon from PBS about the history of New York. My mom's born and raised Long Island, New York, and so finding out this whole history going back to the 1600s about New York City. It's just such an incredible documentary because the opening, when they're talking about getting into the Trade Center, it sounds like they're talking about a bank heist. It is so incredible hearing them talk about this. And then as they continue through the movie, as they go back and forth between, going to, getting into the Trade Center, but then going back into Philippe Petit's life, and also just Philippe Petit is just one of the most infectious people when you also realize how batshit crazy he is. You know, I love the moment when he talks about when he's about to step onto the wire for the first time, and he's in this incredibly charming French accent. He's going, and I was looking as I was about to step onto the wire, and I thought to myself, this could be my death, but this could be the most beautiful death that has ever been around. And you know, you just see it, and you see the footage, and you see him going back and forth. And then, of course, the best part is when the cops get up there and they're trying to get him to come out, and he's like going to one side. They're on either side, on either tower, and he's going towards one side, but then he starts going backwards and starts turning around and going to the other side. And he fucks with the cops for like 45 minutes, and and then he takes that bow, on the wire. It's one of those things that it's like it's so insane that he did this in 1974. The pictures alone don't you? I mean, blow you away I remember when I first saw a picture of this, and I was like, how the fuck did this guy do this? And it's an incredible story. It's a heartwarming story, especially when you think about I. This is also a special documentary for me because I remember when I first saw a picture of the World Trade Center when I was, I think, 5 or 6. It was on an episode of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, and
Love it.
with the great Lynn Thigpen, God rest her soul. Um, I just remember seeing the picture of that building going, what is that thing? That is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And then a couple of years later, I got to go to it when I was 8 years old. And I went there again when I was like 12 or something. I was always in love with that building. I always thought it was one of the most beautiful buildings in the world, which is actually really funny when you think about how New Yorkers reacted to it. They did not like it
No.
when it was first unveiled. Um, but it is a beautiful love letter to the Trade Center also, and is just also and it gives you an excuse to think of the Trade Center and have a smile on your face
Mm,
rather than remembering abject horror of one fateful day in September.
yeah.
My number two actually is from the same year as Free Solo, actually lost to Free Solo at the Oscars. And even though I love Free Solo, I love this film more, and that is Minding the Gap.
Great
I
movie.
think this was my second favorite film of the year, that particular year in 2018. It is a beautiful and stunning documentary about a group of friends whose connection to skateboarding essentially saves their lives, some of them. And the skateboarding is very much an escape from abuse that these group of friends have suffered. Some of them are possibly carrying forward that abuse in their own relationships. I think it's so beautifully made, and it's haunting. There's a great long scene between the director Bing Liu and his mother. Where he confronts her basically about the abuse that he suffered at the hands of his stepfather. And there is, I won't use the word closure, but there is some level of acceptance, and yet it's still, the damage is so visible. I think it's a beautiful, haunting documentary, so entertaining too. It is not, even though it is about heavy subject matter, it is never, it also has a lightness and an eclecticness to it. There's a lot of energy. There's a kinetic kind of force behind this documentary that just I watch it every time it's on. I absolutely love it. Okay, Rob, number one.
By the way, that's a great movie. That was in my long list. Bing Liu was the director. It was my second favorite documentary that year after Three Identical Strangers, which was another great film from that
Like,
year.
I
But I
Love
didn't
that one.
didn't even have that on my list either because my number one is Buena Vista Social Club. Again, 1999. It's a real year for just incredible content. Buena Vista Social Club, Vin Vendors documents how the longtime friend of Vendors, Ry Cooder, who had brought together the group of the legendary Cuban bandmates musicians, returned to Havana in early 1998 to record a new album by the singer Ibrahim Ferrer, and it captured something, my imagination, something in me that I didn't realize I loved. my love for Cuban music, and I don't listen to it often, but I at the time it really just went into my DNA. And I bought the CD at the time. I was still buying CDs, and yeah, I just thought it's such a beautiful documentary. It's a perfect music documentary. If you love music and you love film, it's a great way to enjoy a couple of hours, and that will always be my number one.
Charlie?
So before I go into my honorable mentions, number one, I want to say I saw the Broadway show Buena Vista Social Club either last year or the year before. I can't remember which year it was. And it's one
It
of the
was this
best theater
past. It was this
experiences.
past season. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the best theater. It's probably my top three theater experiences of all time. It is one of the best. The energy of the production is so good, and Natalie Venetia Belcan is righteously won that Tony Award for playing Omar Patunda. Just uh, absolutely fantastic. So, if anybody, and Rob, I include you in this, if you get a chance to see the stage show, go see it because it's incredible.
Okay.
My honorable mentions are a lot of Oscar winners there. Last year's winner, No Other Land, broke my fucking heart. Summer of Soul, Flea, How to Survive a Plague, an excellent account of the AIDS crisis of the AIDS epidemic in New York, and ACT UP. And off of that, also Times of Harvey Milk, one of the greatest political documentaries ever made. But my number one is one that's always stayed with me, and it's one of the reasons I hate March of the Penguins so much, and that's Murder Ball. Murder Ball is a 2004 documentary about the USA quad rugby team that played in the U.S. Paralympics in 2004 in Athens. And I just remember the energy of this documentary about these guys and the way that they made these guys are such badasses in the best sense of the term. It's such an incredible look at the work that they put into what they've had to overcome in terms of being handicapped, being quadriplegics, but also the way that they have fun with it. There are two great moments in this documentary that I love. One of the great moments is when they address when one of the guys just addresses the issue head on of can he still get hard? And he remembers when he was being I think he was being cleaned by his nurse and he involuntarily got an erection and his nurse was so over the moon, ran out to tell his mother and brought his mother in the room.
Wow.
Him recounting that story is just great. There's also a great moment where this one guy who if I remember correctly, he didn't have his full arms. They hid him under a box, and one of their helpers come in saying, "No, we can't. We can't lift this box up." And they lift it up, and he's in there, and he just scares the living shit out of one of them, and it's just one of the funniest moments. You can tell it definitely had that jackass sensibility to it because it was made by MTV Films. It's just one of the what I, it's one it's such an incredible story of perseverance and immense and just athleticism and the hard work that they put in, and it's absolutely infectious. I had a smile on my face the whole time. Love that movie.
Well, we come to my number one. Murder Ball is on my honorable mention list, as well as Navalny. Absolutely love that film. But my number one is a film that, again, I showing my age, 1990s Paris is Burning. Um, and this is a documentary I came to very late in my life. I did not see it until I was maybe 40. And I was embarrassed that I hadn't seen it because it was a film that taught me about my own community, a part about my own community that I didn't know. And it opened my eyes to the fact that there is more to my own community than even I realized. This is a film that is so touching and heartbreaking and beautiful, and a celebration in the face of tremendous. I mean, you have to remember that this film was in 1990, and imagine the things that our trans brothers and sisters are going through right now. So imagine what it was like back then. And it actually, I think for a lot of people, their exposure to the ball culture started with Pose. But for those of us that saw Paris is Burning, um, it was such an important touchstone of my development as a queer man, learning that I didn't know everything about my own community that I should have. And so that is a film that, again, I watch it pretty regularly. It's like, oh, I'm going to spend time with my friends in the House of LaBeija. Um, um, Very quickly at the end here, we of course have to just kind of. I saved it for the end because there's really not much we can say that hasn't already been said about the loss of the great Catherine O'Hara. Multiple Emmy winner, beloved comedy icon, but also gave, even though she was known for comedy, uh, managed to infuse a pathos into everything she did that grounded even the most ridiculous character like a Moira Rose in Schitt's Creek, grounded every character in something so human. And I know for me, my favorite Catherine O'Hara performance will always be uh, the role of Mickey in A Mighty Wind. I think that film is so beautiful, and the heart of that film, as ridiculous as it is the relationship between Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, which will always that pairing of Levy and O'Hara deserves to be mentioned in the annals of history, along with Nichols and May and Martin Lynn Lewis, and name any
Tracy
great
and
comedy.
Hepburn.
And yeah, there will never be another duo like that. Rob, what about you?
Yeah. My anecdote is on the weekend, I was on a cruise and I didn't have any mobile service or Wi-Fi, nothing. I wanted to switch off for a while. And then when I decided to just check in, so I bought a little package so I could get the Wi-Fi. And the first thing I saw was a message from Tony, you, saying, I think it was like something like WTF, Catherine O'Hara died, question mark. And I'm like, no. Went online straight away and I was just like, oh, and the whole family were in our stateroom and they were like, what? And I told them, no, they were just like, everyone was just quiet. Everyone was quiet for maybe a couple of minutes. We just didn't know what to say because we love her. And of course, a lot of it has to do with Home Alone. I've got little kids and I know how you feel about that movie, Tony. But yeah, and then I was texting my parents and my sister. I'm like, "Did you hear? Oh my god!" And we're all just talking about Catherine O'Hara. She's one of the greats, and I don't think I could say it better than what you just said about how she is one of the classics. She's one of the icons in comedy, and she's just recently in the studio. Like she was still in her prime, and yet she was obviously carrying this illness behind the scenes that a lot of people probably didn't know about, and yeah, she will be very, very missed.
Charlie?
And I remember it was Zach. It was Zach who
Oh, it was
sent the
Zach.
message,
Okay.
because I will
Okay.
that image of that message coming up on my
Yeah.
phone is like
Yeah.
ingrained in my memory now.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I mean, she's one of to me she's just and she's one of the great, not just, and like you said, Tony, not just a great comedic performer, just a great performer. What she brought to almost everything. I can't believe, look, I only watched Home Alone in its entirety for the first time this past Christmas. I'd never actually seen it in its entirety, and dear God, is she wonderful in that movie.
Hmm.
Um, and but I wholeheartedly second. One of the things that, as sad as this is, one of the things that has brought a smile to my face, and as I've been flipping through different remembrances and things on my TikTok feed, is the amount of people saying, if you really want, and this always happens when someone passes away, they remember their great performance, and they say, but if you really want to see a great performance from them. And most of those people have been saying her performance as Mickey in A Mighty Wind. I think that is Christopher Guest's best movie. I think it's his funniest also. Just there's so many great moments in that movie, but the thing that puts it over the edge, over the line for me in terms of his best movie, is the heart of Mitch and Mickey. And Eugene Levy wonderfully won the New York Film Critics Award for Best Supporting Actor that year.
The scene where he wandered, where they can't find him, he's wandered into Times Square, and then he shows up right before they're supposed to go back, and he just has a flower and a flower for Mickey, and the look on Catherine O'Hara's face, just like, God damn it, this is why I fell in love with you in the first place. Just the chemistry they have between each other, and then the fact that they got to perform that song on the Oscars was so magical.
Yeah.
And that they got to recreate that kiss moment is just wonderful. She's also so wonderful, and for your consideration, a film that savagely satirizes the whole industry,
the whole
Oscar
thing that
industry
we do.
Exactly, everything that we do, and she does it brilliantly, and she's
Yeah.
so goddamn funny in that movie also. Um, and then also just the way that she played Moira Rose, and it's another thing to watch Schitt's Creek from the beginning to end and realize, first of all, her accent got more ridiculous with every season, and I love it. To the point where she starts speaking pretty normally in the pilot to the final season when she goes, "Won't you join me for the slice of paradise that I like to call the town in which I currently am?" It's just like she fucking yeah. The way that she that even when Schitt's Creek was going on that last thing, Eugene Levy didn't win everything. Dan Levy didn't win everything, but the series won everything, and Catherine O'Hara won everything. And it's goddamn right that and it was one of the, also, I hated having to call my mom and going, oh my God, because she remembers watching Catherine O'Hara when she graduated high school, when SCTV came on. For 8 years, she was defining, she started with that. And, just to think of, like, that it wasn't just being sad for her and her family. Of course, our hearts go out to her, but also thinking of how, the amount of time that she spent working with Eugene Levy, Martin Short, Andrea Martin, just it breaks your heart, and it's just one of those things that just happens when people get to be a certain age. And it's like Diane Keaton. I never thought we'd be in a world without her, but thankfully, because of her performances, we'll never be in a world without her.
Well said, everyone. We will be back next week. In the meantime, please subscribe to these podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll read it on the show. Email us your letters at awardsheaven@gmail.com. And to all of you, be safe, take care of each other, have a little kiss at the end of the rainbow, and join us next week for the Awards Heaven podcast.